Is Snyder's moon falling? Let's find out. So, yeah. I logged on to that part place to have a look, and guess what I found? I found a article about Zack Snyder, titled "Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 2: The Scargiver Viewership Plummets in Second Week on Netflix." Not a surprise. Not a surprise. We're going to take a look at this article, but before we do, please do hit that like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please do comment down below any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions. So, okay, let's have a look at this article, shall we? Because this might be fun. We all know how I feel when it comes to Rebel Moon. So this was yesterday by John F. Trent from That Park Place. Yeah, we've got the usual images. Viewership for Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 2 Scargiver plummets in the film's second week on the streaming service. Does that mean that we're not going to get Rebel Moon Part 3? Oh, please don't give us Part 3. We don't want it. It won't help with viewership. And as for the Snyder cuts, I don't think so. But if they do release, I will definitely be taking a look. Yeah, so the film debut, starting a bit weird there. The film debuted at the top of Netflix's English language films chart the week it premiered, bringing in 44.2 million hours viewed and 21.4 million views. Okay. However, in its second week, viewership fell to 38.8 million hours viewed and 18.8 million views. That's a decline of, 12.2% in total hours watched and 12.1% in total views. So they're kind of on par, right? So I wonder, I mean, think about it. If 21.4 million people watched it for more than an hour, why is that still at 44.2? Because if 21.4 million people watched it, then if they watched it for an hour, then that number is wrong, right? Okay, so it looks like no one watched it more than for past an hour. Funny. Sorry, there is a bit of stuff going on outside, so I hope it doesn't interfere. And the light dropped just as I started this video as well. So yeah. I'm not going to bother with the Snyder reacts to negative Rebel Moon reviews, because if he didn't care about the online community talking about his stuff, then why is he reacting to it? Just saying. Now, you might not think that that decline is that significant. However, if you go back to December and look at viewership for Rebel Moon, That Park Place, please proofread. You know, we're seeing it with everyone. We're seeing it with Variety. We're seeing it with Screen Rant. We're seeing it with Deadline. Even no one seems to be proofreading these articles, or even just click spell check, please, because it might come up and say, "Oh, look, you've got a got there where there should be a go," right? So please do that. I mean, everyone else should do it as well, but I'm just saying, you do great work, but yeah. If you go back to December and look at viewership for Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, So it wouldn't be one of my videos without a yawn now, would it? It paints a stark picture that viewers did not like. Zack Snyder created. What? Sorry, what? I'm reading it wrong now. What Zack Snyder created? No shit. Anyway, the first film also took the top spot for English language films for the week it debuted, and racked up 54.1 million hours viewed and 23.9 million views. So it's not that much of a difference, but the hours are higher because people probably watched more than an hour. Right. In its second week, total hours viewed and views increased to 77 million hours viewed and 34 million views. It still doesn't work out. The total doesn't work, does it? That's a 42.3% increase in total hours viewed and total views. That's right. The second week for the first film saw it increase. I hate that I'm yawning. Every time I start a recording, I yawn. I don't understand why. It's just odd. Right, that's a 42.3% increase in total hours viewed and total views. That's right. The second week for the first film saw an increase in total hours viewed and viewership compared to the second film seeing a decline because no one was interested. No one wanted to watch it. In fact, many Netflix original films see an increase in their second week compared to their first week, given the first week is usually only a single weekend, while the second week includes the whole week. Well, yeah, that's kind of why it's weird, to release figures for the weekend. It's like they're using the figures for movies on opening weekends. Yes, but even so, the numbers still don't add up, right? For example, Leave the World Behind debuted at the beginning of December and brought in 98.7 million hours viewed and 41.7 million views in its first week. Its second week increased hours viewed to 106.2 million and views up to 44.9 million. Snyder would like to get those numbers. I mean, this is the number that Netflix should be looking at, because if Leave the World Behind gained 106.2 million views or hours watched or whatever, then Rebel Moon with its measly 3.4 million or so. Right. The fact that it's at 44.9 million. Lift, starring Kevin Hart, performed similarly when it debuted. The film garnered 58.5 million hours viewed and 32.8 million views when it debuted in the middle of January. In its second week, it saw total hours viewed increase to 65.4 million and views increased to 36.4. So yeah, fair enough. The animated film Orion and the Dark did this as well. The film debuted on Netflix for 15.5 million hours viewed and 10 million views. Lindsay Lohan's Irish Wish did it too. 40 million hours viewed and 25.5 million views. Millie Bobby Brown film Damsel from director Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, whatever, saw debut. So even that gained 93.2 million hours and 50.8 million views. That's the second week. Even a non-original film like the Super Mario Bros. Movie, it had 20.3 million hours viewed and 13.2 million views. Yeah, I didn't watch it. On top of Rebel Moon Part 2, the Scargiver bucking a trend that typically sees Netflix original films perform better in their second. If you compare the total hours viewed between the two films, it reveals a nearly 37% decline in total hours viewed from 131.1 million to 40.2 million. It's a big drop. Netflix, no more Snyder, no more Snyder stuff. This reduction in viewership appears to confirm early reports from analysts from Samba TV, which indicated the second film had around 40% fall off from the first film. The company reported at the end of December that 1.7 million US households watched Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, in its first 5 days on the streaming service. Yeah, there we go. There's a screenshot. Samba TV, Part 1, last week to landed on Netflix last week to 1.7 million US households tuning in. Sorry. Hispanic households watched at the highest rate compared to the rest of the country, over indexing by 12%. Okay, yeah. God. Right. In the middle of April, it revealed the second film only saw 967,000 US households tune in. That's a 43.2% decline. That's a big drop. However, Samba TV's Part 2 reporting was only over 3 days instead of 5 days like the first film. Yeah. So that's the original post, I suppose. What do you make of Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, seeing viewership decline in its second week and falling off a cliff compared to the first film? Yeah. I kind of knew it was going to come. Obviously, I wouldn't have ever guessed the numbers, but for Rebel Moon, full stop, it's great news, because personally, I would love there to be more, but only so that I can make more videos for you guys. And I didn't enjoy. Well, there were some parts that were interesting, but other than that, they were just terrible movies. So it's a terrible franchise to create. Especially when you consider that this was originally written for a Star Wars movie and it became its own thing, right? Because obviously Lucasfilms turned it down, and Netflix took it on. But it was adapted from an original Snyder Star Wars script into what we have. But to be honest, even if it was made as a Star Wars movie, I don't think it would have done this good, because the way that Star Wars is right now. I mean, Bad Batch is just finished. I love Bad Batch. I'm disappointed to see it go, and I would love to see more. But I mean, what's going to happen with Omega? But I might do a video about the Bad Batch at some point. I might do a hangout, and we'll talk about it over the weekend at some point. We'll see how I feel about that. But yeah, it's Rebel Moon. So, do you think Snyder Moon's fallen? Because I do. I think Snyder's Moon has fallen. But yeah, tell me what you think. Do you think it's the end for Snyder Moon? Sorry. Do you think the Rebel Moon franchise is dead now or dying? Because secretly, not secretly, I'm going to publicly admit it, I hope it does die. Because it was a waste of time watching, and even though they do have the 6-hour Rebel Moon coming later this year, I'm still going to watch them, and I will most likely watch them and do some more videos for you guys. So yeah, a lot of people don't like the negativity I have for Rebel Moon, but hey, it's just my opinion. It's my thoughts. I mean, I like good sci-fi, as you can see. Rocinante, MCRN T51, Tachi, which is one of the greatest sci-fi shows made since the early 2000s. Anyway, I am sort of working on the list of sci-fi shows, but I've got things I have to think about to do it, because obviously I might have to start earlier on, but we'll see what happens with my top tens for the sci-fi shows. But yeah, tell me your thoughts and ideas and your opinions, because why not? And until next time, guys, stay safe, take care, and may the sports be with you always. Oh, and don't forget, there is merchandise available if you click the links down below, and please do consider tipping through via the Streamlabs tipping page. Seriously, help us out if you support the channel. Entirely your choice. Thanks for watching.